Madam Speaker, the President of the United States.
Multiple continents.
You guys know what this represents?
All the people that have gone out there against the mainstream media and said, you're going to call us racist, you're going to call us potential Timothy McVeighs. You are.
Hey there, welcome to the Patriot Party News. So happy to have everyone. We are, I think Chaz is going to be out of town some this week. I am too, so we've got a lot going on. So I am actually recording this. It's right now about 3 o'clock, and this will be for our 8 o'clock show. I am headed to Las Vegas. And I'm going to be there with a bunch of incredible people. This is something that Juan asked Matt to get going and start up for March 25th of 2026, probably about a year ago, maybe a little more. And Juan said that by this time, it will be time to start getting people involved with the right people. So people that have information as far as whistleblowers, them being kind of put together with people from, let's say, the ones that can put the indictments out. I'm going to say task forces. I'm going to say some DOJ type people, IRS type people that can get together, because what has been happening is we have a Friday call every Friday that's with our coalition. And what we do is each person is, there might be 2 or 3 from Utah, there might be 2 or 3 from South Carolina, from Georgia, wherever, and they're America First candidates. And what they're doing is getting their grievances out. So let's say that they're doing their best to run as they've been Republicans all their life. Maybe they've seen the nastiness in the Democrat Party and they've moved over to the Republican Party, but they've said, we're not going to take money from all these NGOs and people that they would be beholding to mark yes on a vote or no on a vote. This is at a local level. So it's a grassroots group that have said, we won't take the money. And what they do is they come in and they say, well, this has been happening in our state. This is what's going on. This is who we're fighting, which is always the Democrats, the Republican rhinos, the good old boys, the uniparty, and people in their own party, Republicans, that are in a system that they can't get out of. And I don't know why they can't get out of it. We have some thoughts of it. Are they compromised? Are they making that much money being in this local office or a state office, to get rid of it? Have they done things where they're being told, you've got to get in there or we're bringing out this information on you? There's a lot of that. Well, everybody knows that on my show, I'm always talking about hand count ballots. So forever, this group has been, we've been into a grassroots effort to replace electronic voting systems with a manual hand counted method, let's say. Well, there's got to be somebody that's in charge of that and doing everything. We have people like Juan. I'm not going to say everybody, but everybody knows Juan and everybody knows Matt that watches my show anyways. And, Matt's very in tune to everything that's going on. There's things that he can say, things he can't say. One of the big reasons for my show was to get Matt on with us so that PPN will have representation at Gitmo. And that's what we're counting on. That's what we're planning on. So this was to give him experience. Plus, he can call anybody. The people that know what's going on, they know who Matt is because he was the whistleblower for Fast and Furious, who briefed President Trump himself. He is also Juan O'Savin's chief of staff and runs the coalition. So anybody that has a question comes to Matt. Matt puts them with whoever the top dog is or whoever has the best information about what their need is. So during all this, we have Mark, who is providing technical demonstrations of vulnerabilities in all the machines, but particularly Dominion voting machines. And this is to justify his mission. And what he does is he shares his information to whoever will listen. It is a thing he does on a daily basis. He does, he owns Handcount Roadshow. So he drives around from city to city, from county to county, showing his method for getting the hand count method happening. So when he does that, he just says, hey, show up. He'll show up if you organize a public event. He has a target audience of anybody, the public, legislators, election officials, and usually he does it every day, weekdays, weekends, and it's aimed at certain ways to do it. So it's a grassroots initiative, and it's called Handcount Roadshow. He travels from county to county to advocate for election integrity. He's always looking for somebody that will set up a local venue, like a church or a restaurant or a school or he doesn't care, wherever he can get information out. And really it's just to get rear ends in the seats. Once that venue and that audience are secured, then he commits to showing up and handling the presentation and any activities that go on. The event structure is adapted based on what day of the week. Like if he does it on the weekends, it's a public presentation, and it's held usually around midday, and it's followed by an evening strategy session where it's kind of dedicated for individuals who really it's time for them to roll up their sleeves and get involved. They've made that commitment. It's the ones that are really, really, really going, really ready to get to work. Now on weekdays, it's a little different, whereas the main public event usually occurs in the evening, and then the speaker, which is Mark or whoever has organized it, or with Mark, they will then, meet for people that are more committed. They'll meet over lunch or brunch or whatever you want to call it the next day. And with time permitting, they'll do a little follow-up session that evening. Also, he will engage with local officials at any time. That's one of his main goals, because there's so many that just say, that's conspiracy theory. And he's trying to get through to them. Doesn't matter, Democrat or Republican. And that's including election administrators, county commissioners, sheriffs. Loves to meet with sheriffs. And these meetings are for dual purposes, to make significant impact, and to I guess gather information about the operations that are going on at that time. And he believes that every county that he has visited, from as far as some kind, has benefited, and there's been really good engagement. So that's including literally Democrats, Republicans, independents. It doesn't matter, black, white, it doesn't matter. This is not about one group or one. This is about election integrity for all of us, and that's what he's doing. And he kind of says, anybody that's sane after they see his information will understand that we've got to do something, because if we're going to have free and fair elections, what's going on now cannot happen. So I would say that usually he'll literally show you on a computer what he can do and how to flip votes. He will hold hand count seminars to where you've got one group on one side and one group on another, and they are hand counting votes, and how simple it is, how simple it is to find errors and to correct them, and really, really, really doing some really good job. Now he's pretty much grassroots. So he's doing it on a. He just left his house and said, "All right, I'm going to do this. It's important to me," and that's what he's doing. So the format he's chosen is makes auditing extremely efficient and extremely transparent, where it's never happened. No one's ever looked into the votes to see if they were good or bad. Now, the ones that are cheating, they know that they're bad, because that's how they've been able to get certain people into office. It's an easy layout, and it's going to have the one that he does permanently, or in the future when the votes are actually happening. Right now, everybody's just learning, but it's going to have like an overhead camera, and video will be captured from that area, and it'll be like he called it. What did he call it? This CVR style tally sheet is going to be a game changer. That's what he said. He's found that even people initially that were opposed to the hand count become very receptive, after seeing the stuff he shows, because it's right there in your face. There's nothing anybody can say that after they see it, it's just right there. You don't have to understand computers. You don't have to understand freaking anything. You just have to have a little bit of common sense. And he was just in Georgia last week, and he used a drone to kind of capture some footage and stuff. It's pretty good. Now, he also did a 10-minute presentation where he demonstrates critical vulnerabilities with the Dominion voting machines, and he shows how to bypass the security and directly access the election database that's the one used to, I guess it's the built-in software. Yeah. It's the one that's using the built-in software. That's what it is. And he shows exactly how you can flip a vote, how you can get in there and change from, let's say, from Trump to Biden, or from county level to county level. It doesn't matter. It happens on all of it. Now, also, he doesn't show it, but there are people in other countries that have the ability to push buttons and make each ballot different. It's crazy. It's crazy how far it's gone. It's crazy how freaking right out in our face it's been, and nobody has wanted to do anything about it. So he did talk about the other day. He was talking about, and I've got it written right here somewhere. He talked about where there was a manual vote flipping, where he navigated to the database tables for the 2020 Mesa County general election, and he showed the initial results, and that Biden with 31,000 votes and Trump with 56,000 votes, and then by editing, it was the choice table and swapping the candidates' ID numbers, it changed Biden from number 1 to number 2 and Trump from number 2 to number 1. And he instantly flipped the entire election results of the candidates right in front of everybody's faces. I've seen this twice. It was very eye-opening and made me say, wow, I need to get involved in elections. I need to get this stuff out. He also said there was an automated attack by a USB where he plugged in, then he showed us, and he said what he did is he plugged in the special flash drive, I think is what it's called. Yeah. Flash drive that emulates a keyboard. And without any further user input, the device automatically ran a script that accessed a second backdoor utility connected to the database and reversed the vote flip. It totally reversed it and restored the numbers back to like it was supposed to. So the first time he did it, and he did it a certain way, and the second time he showed how to do it a totally different way to flip it back. So a wireless backdoor is what he's been talking about. So when you get a wireless backdoor, people can come in and change things around. There's nothing anybody can do about it. No one will be able to see it. And you just cannot have a wireless computer hooked up when you're dealing with a voting system. Now, people say they want to do it on their phones, and that can be hacked just the same. So the vulnerabilities are endless. And in field observations on the political corruption in Georgia, he showed how there were on-ground experiences and observations in Georgia where they highlighted all the crazy political landscape where people were just, you look at them and you say, do you really not want to see this? We've been talking about it forever. And do you not even want to entertain it? And when they don't, you've got to say, you have got to be part of the good old boy system. You have got to be part of the establishment that believes that you should be able to, they should be able to manipulate systems for power and for money. And because that's just what they think they are entitled to. They think that they are here just to rule over us, and a good place to rule over us is in the votes, of course, and in big pharma, and in freaking everything that we deal with on a daily basis. Now, just lately, France has reached out to him. South Korea has reached out to him, and they have similar situations where their votes were stolen. And just so you know, it was 72 countries, and that's including the United States. This will, whatever's going to go on here, I've always believed that when we fight them hard enough and we do a good enough job and we get it, well, let me put it this way. For this to all change, we're going to have an executive order and a national election emergency that is followed through with that, because just an executive order obviously is not working. There's an executive order to get Tina Peters out, and she's not out yet. Now that sucks because she's freaking innocent, and it's terrible. And we've all talked about it till we're blue in the face. But I would just say, hey, keep her in your prayers, because golly, just think about what she's going through. She was attacked the other day, and freaking that person got out on parole after she was attacked, and they tried to blame it on Tina. So it's just crazy. So people like Mark are going to be at this. He always, when he's there with us, he will run the audio video. He'll run all the computers and everything. Other people that are going to be there are people like Jim Marchant or Rick Saga. I had Rick on the other day, and and then Chief Sean Taylor. I imagine one of the Brunsons will be there. But these are the type of people that have been out here, and they are just using their own methods, their own money, and their own go get 'em attitude and patriot attitude to try to do their part in making America great again. And there's a whole lot of them. So we should have about 100 there. Maybe a little more, maybe a little less, but that's about what it is. And what this is marrying the two, the people that can put indictments on with the people that are out there doing work. Now, what I will say is that there's a lot of new stuff coming out. But the other day, well, for a good bit, Patrick Byrne has been telling us, man, I've got everything. I've got it all. There's nothing anybody can do about it. It is obvious that we've got them. Just when is it going to happen? Well, then apparently he found out and was shown what Trump has. And he said, wow, Trump has the mother lode. The absolute mother lode, has had everything, and we're in good shape. It's just, when is it going to happen? So since it's event driven, I don't even have to worry about it. It's event driven. It's going to happen. And we are going to be involved in it. And that's when people will start being taken down. And that's when people will be at Gitmo. And that's when PPN will have Matt there on the show, on tap, right there at Gitmo, giving us information, which is something we've always thought about. Now, we had a guy named Rick on there, Rick Saga, and he has been in this for a long time. And he's going to be like a speaker, but he's going to be on remotely brought in because he has got major information on the school bonds. I think that's Rick. I can't remember. It's one of them. But anyways, the school bonds are totally out of control. And this is information that is getting out. A lot of people haven't known about it, but it's where school bonds have been taken out so much, and they don't ever start paying on them, that there's no way now it can be corrected. It's like you're going to have to blast. You got to tear it down. And this is one of the big reasons that I started talking a long time ago, year and a half ago, about the possibility of us going through a bankruptcy. That is that's totally in play. Those are things, because it's so bad, and there's, with everything, there's not much you can do to repair anything and get that back up together. A long time ago, we had said, okay, if somebody is in a big corporation or owns a company or whatever, and they've done bad stuff, not the stuff with children and this and that, but if they've done some bad things business wise or whatever, are involved, being blackmailed, things like that, and they will stop doing what they're doing, the nasty stuff, and get their act together and start helping Trump make America great again, then there might be a little forgiveness of certain things. But some just won't happen, and that means they have to go. So if you can get the bad out of the company and keep the company, then great. It's already established. Good things can happen from that. But if they just will not change their ways, and they think they are going to continue making America freaking crazy again instead of great again, then they got to go. So there's going to be a lot of things happening here in just the near future with companies and corporations and entertainers and political figures that are just going to blow some people's minds. And I'm sorry that that's going to happen, but it just is. One big thing that we're taking care of right now that is big on everybody's mind is about the 2020 election and the controversies that went on, where they were debanking public figures, and there were large scale freaking crazy crises that are going on in everything, but most of all is the school and municipal and insurance bonds, the fire department bonds, put it this way, widespread irregularities in bonds by public administrations, by the public administration of freaking each county. And it's going to take huge measures to make a dent in it. Now, there's people that say there's a guy that says, hey, I know how to fix it. I can fix it. It's the income tax thing. And isn't it funny how every time somebody speaks of income tax or this or that, it all goes back to what we started talking about 5, 6, 8 years ago and Nasara Gasara? Doesn't it all just boil down to that? Yes, it does. It's right. We're right. You are right about everything. There's a lot of expansion on what we thought, but we always knew about the corruption and the claims of corruption in every freaking county there is in the whole United States, in 71 other countries. Now, one big thing, Utah has been big. On my show, we've had a lot of guys from Utah come in there. It's been a freaking nutcase place, and it continues to be. But what we did have was some really good stuff out of Georgia this last week. And I just did a show on that, and I talked a lot about it. So if you want to check that out, I did that at 6:00. I won't repeat it for people that watched it. But Texas, freaking, golly, it's Georgia, freaking Tennessee, everywhere, North Carolina. There are issues with every freaking state. Whether there's the person you thought or knew was going to win or not, there was issues. Now, was it mainly just in certain places that they swing states and things? And there was a lot there. It was more recognizable, but it's everywhere. It's absolutely everywhere out here. It's nationwide. It's nationwide, and it could very well trigger a big crisis when this comes out. And it's coming out because the widespread violations in the bonds is going to, I'm just telling you, that's what we're going to look at this weekend, along with elections and everything. But we've got some freaking headhunters that have got information. And I'm expecting for them to bring it, and then at that point, get it together, be sent to the people that it needs to be sent to. And then I hope that they're like Patrick Byrne. And they say, wow, I had all this information and Trump had the mother load. I hope that's what happens. And I got a feeling it is, because a few others have said something kind of like that. So I just want everybody to know there are big things happening. It's not just the administration that is making this happen. It is, he gave the power back to the people. And some people took that and ran with it. Some people are looking at doing everything they can to find missing children, doing everything they can. There's people that have evidence on entertainers, on the bonds again, on who's doing the sleeper cells, on who's doing the cyber attacks, who here is helping with that stuff. That's it's amazing to watch these people, and you just don't know what's going to come up next. And a lot of it, I'm not allowed to talk about, and I don't like doing that. But I guess here at Patriot Shoot and Talk Time is where I talk about that stuff the most. I feel more secure, and it's behind a wall there, where you can't get in unless you're a member of Patriot Shoot. And but that's where when I brought out a lot of information on Peter Santilli, that was huge. When I was able to, 2 months, 3 months before anybody knew that, all that stuff was going down in Florida with the indictments and the grand juries, the secret grand juries. That's where I went to, was talk time, and said, hey, we're fixing to. Now, 2.5 years ago, I started telling about, I started telling people there's going to be something about some task forces, and they're going to be everywhere. Task forces are going to be freaking everywhere. And hey, by the way, this is going to look bad, but I promise, there's stuff going on behind the scenes. I can't talk about it, but it's happening. I'm watching it. People that I trust and talk to on a daily basis are involved in it. And I'm like, whoa, okay, I didn't know I was going to be here in this position, but that's pretty cool because I'm not in that position, but I'm going to Vegas to get in there and see what I can do about helping, see what needs to be gotten out. What will my job be? Because they don't usually bring somebody that does a podcast to this, things like this, but they know they can trust me. So I hadn't got in trouble yet. Now there's another group that I hang out with Charlie, and on that one, we always had to go to the naughty, what was it called? The naughty channel. And that was when we were talking about when we would talk about the quantum financial system, and when we talk about redemption and things like that. And Charlie was always going to the naughty room. The naughty room, that's what it was called, And I remember, what's his name? Simon, Simon. I'd be riding around with Charlie. We'd be no telling where we're at. We were all over the place, just looking at stuff. He'd call him, and Simon be in the bath. He'd start laughing about that naughty room or whatever. So a lot of people have heard about that. And that's true. We had a place where I could communicate with number 2 and number 4, and he could communicate. Then we all had a group, and then we had the naughty room. So that's kind of funny. I reminded some people about that the other day in talk time, and they were like, that's freaking great, because me and Charlie just drive around and just be thinking up stuff, questions, and trying to figure it out like all of us. And then, of course, they'd say, now you can't say this, don't be putting this out, because we're, first rule of the RVs, you don't talk about the RV, and all that stuff. So, but we didn't as a rule. And then all of a sudden, Charlie has said something on one of his shows. And I was like, oh, Charlie, what do you do? And he would be laughing. I mean, laughing, knowing he did it on purpose. He knew what he was putting out, and he's just funny, and he's a good one. And he would, we'd go in there and we'd be listening, and he'd make up and say, well, I didn't know we wasn't supposed to put that out, and this, and they said, now, Charlie, and he'd have an excuse or whatever. Oh, it was just great. It was great, which he already put it out, and it's true, but it was funny watching him get around those things. It was kind of like when we went to what's his name? I can't remember his name. All the shows that we went to, and I can't remember his name for anything. But anyways, we would go there, and we'd instantly start scoping out the back routes to get to the stage, and where the food was, and where the people would be congregating. He'd be guessing. Now this person's going to be here, and this person's going to be here. And lots of times he had somebody. Now, I haven't talked to this person, but they got something to do with this, and we need to get in touch with him. I want to interview this one. So boom, I'd take off, and I'd go find whoever he wanted to interview or whatever. And it was fun doing that. One of them was Gene Ho. And I went up and just had a conversation with Gene. And of course, whenever I would say Charlie, I'd say, hey, I'm here with Charlie Ward. And he'd love to, he's talking about you the whole way here. I'd say something, say, Charlie would love to meet you. Not that he wanted to interview you or anything, but he wanted to meet you. And that always just worked. They just come running, In fact, sometimes they just follow me and just go to see Charlie, because everybody wanted to see Charlie. It didn't matter who it was. Everybody wanted to see Charlie. But enough of that. Those were good times, though. And I learned a lot. And I guess that was the first place where information was given to me that I was like not supposed to say certain things. So I just quit talking about it all the time so I didn't get in trouble, because I'm all about the humanitarian side of it anyways. I want to do humanitarian stuff. That's what fits into my life anyways, what fits into my family's life. I didn't start doing that stuff because of any good deed. I thought that's just what you're supposed to do. You know, if somebody in family or we didn't know had a problem and dad could fix it, he just fixed it. You know, okay, I don't know how many times he'd go somewhere. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's cutting a tree down, putting a tree in the back of a truck, fixing a piece of it don't matter what it is. That's just what you did around here, you know. Now the hustle and bustle's gotten a little different, and it's just different. But I don't know. I like it better like that. I like it better because at that time I wasn't having to understand the battlefield. I wasn't having to know who's on my team and who's not on my team. Know your enemies and know them better than ones that are on your team, because you got to know all of what they're freaking talking about, what they're trying to scheme on you and stuff. There weren't distractions, whereas now in this world there are major distractions and people are feeding into it. So that's it was just a lot more simple. You just go to work. But the thing is, even though it was simple for me at that time in my mind, all of these things were still happening. I just didn't know about it. That's when I was young. I didn't really start looking into this stuff until I was 26. No, until about 96. 1996, 1997, somewhere in there. And I've told that story many times. And when I started trying to figure out if what I was hearing was true, the biggest thing I wanted to do was be able to trust myself and trust my instincts. Now, I've usually trusted my instincts. If I didn't trust mine, I trusted my mother's. So that's why when people have, probably mostly in talk time, they say, you're going somewhere, you better call mama. And I was like, yeah, well, that's not silly. If I get a feeling that it's weird, I might not should go to this place. There might be something crazy going to happen, or I don't know, something off the wall. I'll call and just kind of tell her, hey, this is what I'm thinking about doing. And if she says, I instantly know, because my radar goes up. These little antennas go, you know, and I said, whoops, I'm not going. I don't even have to talk to her anymore. If she starts saying, thinking about it, because otherwise she would say, oh, I hope you have a great time. Oh, that's going to be fun. Oh, great. Well, I just know her, and her instincts are way up there. Her chakra is rocking and rolling, and her pineal gland must be cleaned out or something. She's right with the Lord, all that stuff. And I would tell everybody, and I use that 100%. So if you don't, man, it would be good to start understanding it. And all it is a frequency. It's a frequency, and keeping distractions away from you so that you can focus and being right with the Lord and all that stuff. So my biggest thing with everything that's going on is I think everyone should be as involved as they can with whatever they want to be involved in. That means if what you want to be involved in and what's best for you is to get your health in good shape, or make sure your animals are taken care of on a daily basis, then that's your job. And other people should be taking up any slack, because there's people that want to do things. There's people that have the knowledge to do really good things, and they are get up and go, but they've had some kind of health thing go on. They've had some unfortunate situation. Maybe it's they're elderly at the time and just not moving around like they should. So that means others got to pick it up and rock and roll. And I would say anybody that is getting up and rocking and rolling with this thing, be positive about it and be ready, and knowing that the Lord will lead you in the right direction if you just let him. If you let him, and you can trust yourself, trust your studies, trust that Q has been so important through this thing. The AI driven scenario that's going on. Anybody that wants to understand quantum and the QFS, all this stuff, and the computers, you've been in it. Q is algorithms and different things like that. It's AI generated. It has to generate to where it coincides with what Trump's going to say. How do you make all that happen? How long did we see it ago? Years ago. And a lot of people that have been in it for a long time knew something was coming. I didn't necessarily know it was going to be Q, but we knew something was coming. Just like we knew Trump was coming, just like we knew that a vaccine was coming, that a COVID was coming. Something was coming, and we didn't understand it. We didn't know exactly what it was, but it was a virus or a plague or something like that. And a lot of us had ivermectin and freaking all this stuff, cases of it, for just whenever it happened, because we were prepping. We were getting ready for the craziness that's fixing to happen. We were off on the timeline, and now a lot of us don't even deal with the timeline. Hopefully a lot of us have matured enough to where we're just doing our thing, getting ourselves ready, keeping our mind and our bodies and our souls strong, and using this time to go to the Lord and get our relationship good, and getting a bunch of act right thrown all over us, and finding out who our enemies are. Being able to spot all the distractions. Being able to control our information flow, because they've got algorithms out there that if you look at this and this and this 3 times, you can see that the rest of your life. They will put it, good stuff or bad stuff, to you all day, every day. I think a lot of people have gotten, hung up on that. If you see bad stuff all day, but if things aren't quite going right, man, things ain't going to be that great. And that's just dadgummit. When you get into something like that, just back up a little bit and understand that it's going to be all right. You know the battlefield. You know who your enemies are. You're hanging around in the right groups. You're with like-minded people, and you love the Lord, and you're trying to be a good person. You're human. Give yourself a break. And I hope everybody is doing okay. I hope everybody in your mind is knowing that things are happening. Janine Piero, whatever her name is, she is going after Soros. We're hearing talk of Devin Nunes and big things about Barack Obama. We're hearing big things about Hamas and how much the devastation of how much of a one-sided war this has been so far, even though a lot of people want to tell you it's not. It is. I've done the digging. I'm not saying that it's not going to get worse, or it hadn't got worse since the last time I said that. But we're okay. The plan is working out, in my opinion. You get to have your opinion, and that person gets their opinion, and that person gets their opinion. I believe that everything's good. I believe that Brennan is fixing to be in freaking trouble. I believe cyber attacks are fixing to come from everywhere, and floods are going to continue to happen just like we've thought. But Hillary is in trouble. Things are going on in the background. They've got this deal where Hillary Clinton, Adam Schiff, Susan Rice, Andrew McCabe, Rod Rosenstein, Sally Yates, Loretta Lynch, all of them are right there, probably going down for the exact same thing that Obama and Brennan and Clapper and James Comey are in trouble for. And I believe they're all getting subpoenas. That's what I think is happening right now. I think that things are going on behind the scenes that you can't see and I can't see, but we're hearing about them. We've got people like Tim Burchett. He's stepping up, and he's talking about some big things, vulnerabilities going on with he was all upset the other day. I believe it was him talking about that, they're suing so that, maybe it wasn't him, it was somebody, but they were suing so that the election would not get looked into, and making it where it's easier to cheat. And it's just like, it's right there in front of us. It's right there in front of us. We just got to believe ourselves. Hey, did the Iron Dome, fail? And did an Iranian missile get in there? Yeah, that's what I'm hearing. But I still, as of Saturday, I had not heard that there was near as much devastation as we had thought. I did hear from a group that they were in Israel, and they went out to eat Saturday night. And I don't know, when things are just blowing up all over the place, you don't usually probably go out to eat at a restaurant, a local restaurant, so we'll see. The Strait of Hormuz, what's going to happen there? What's going to happen with Japan and Britain? They've supposedly got them a submarine coming that can shoot these missiles. So big things are happening. I appreciate you joining us. We'd love for you to come hang out with us. When you, if you do, that's at join.patriotshoot.com. We want your information. We want to get you information, get you involved. That's our whole goal for doing this. And with everything that's going on, I believe that right now is the time that everybody needs to have their immune system as rocking and rolling. I mean, just going. You need to be working on it constantly. And it'll depend on your budget as to what you can do and what you can't. There's a lot of home remedies that would be less expensive. There's things like, I'm a fan of the Roots brand products, and I love the Clean Slate because I believe that there's heavy metals everywhere, and that's something that takes care of. The graphene oxide, also the parasites, mercury, lead, reduces inflammation, and it'll remove dead cells that are blocking oxygen. So that's good. Then you've got Restore. So Restore is the one for mold, fungus, yeast, parasites. Mold, fungus, yeast, parasites. It's for bone health. It's for blood pressure. It's for inflammation. It's for, there was a lot said about fungus in the brain, the back of the brain. Fungus that starts in the back of the brain. I don't understand that exactly, but it was something that when I talked to Clayton and them, that was something they talked about. Now the Zero In is the little yellow capsule, and it's brain function. It's cognitive functions, recognition. It's made to help any cognitive issues, and it is it's a little stimulus. It will give you a little energy there. Something good to try out. Anyways, we appreciate you. Have a good evening. Take it easy, and join.patriotshoot.com. We need the support, and we'd like to have you as partners. Thanks and